All right, here we go on a Friday night, late night happy hour, Golden Knights post game. I don't know about you, Dave. I wasn't super confident they were going to get the deal done tonight. Were you?
I thought they'd win, but I wasn't brave enough to bet it.
Yeah.
I'm glad they did, though.
I wasn't. So. I certainly. I mean, I wasn't super confident they would blow them out. It looked like, it might be a tight game back and forth until the middle of the second. But I'll tell you this, and maybe this is oversimplifying it. Did it seem to you like the return of Pacioretty?
Oh, I think, yeah.
Made a friggin' ton of. I mean, they just on offense they were a completely different team tonight.
Yep, and he really matters. I think it gave the team a confidence boost, and they went out and played a good game. So, the season would have been a huge disappointment if they didn't get through this first round. What happens from here? Well, they're facing the best team in the league, so it's not going to be a picnic. But never know.
In some ways, I was thinking about it. I was kind of thinking if they had lost, just how weird it would have been because, so much of this comes down to matchups, and the Wild's roster, their personnel, and their style are just a bad matchup. And I'm actually, call me crazy, I'm actually enthusiastic. If the Avs aren't going to I don't think they're going to. If the Avs aren't going to try to clamp down and play a conservative game, then I think this is going to be a wide open series, and I think the Knights have a good chance.
Well, it could be. It's going to be fun. I mean, it's going to be up and down the ice. And the good news for the Golden Knights is they don't have. There's no pressure here. They were supposed to beat Minnesota, and sometimes that makes it difficult, especially when team provides matchup problems. They're not supposed to beat Colorado. They're good-sized underdogs, and I don't think they will. I don't think they could beat them 4 times, but I think they'll make it a good series.
the Minnesota loser parlay. Okay. All right. Plus 444. Did you have it? I think he's suggesting he had it. So what did you see tonight, Dave? Especially with, early on I thought, obviously Jan Mark and the speed and, that's why they got him in the first place. That kind of set the tone.
Yeah. Boy, what a game Jan Mark had. The empty net was the hat trick, but it's still a hat trick. And, they were more aggressive on the forecheck tonight, which they weren't in Game 6. I thought they played a really bad Game 6. And, they played right into Minnesota's hands. But they came back and had that offensive push tonight, and they just played a really good game. I thought this was a solid performance in a game where they had all the pressure on them. Minnesota was on a free roll, and they got the job done. So I'm glad to see it. Crowd was enthusiastic, and we move on.
Yeah, we had a guy. I was over at Samstown for the first 2 periods, and we had a guy there. I forget what he bet. He bet north of 1,000. It could have been 11,000. I wasn't really paying attention, but he was hooting and hollering on the over. So he bet on the over, and every time a goal was scored, he was going friggin' crazy. And once it got to 2-2, I was like, well, I think you're in pretty good shape. And then to win an over 5, the way the series has gone by the end of the second period is complete insanity.
Yeah. Well, but he got what he wanted for the over, which was a very aggressive Golden Knights offense. They have to play that way. They're just not a team they're just not a sit back and defend team. That's not their style. Even though they had a great goals against average this season, it's still not their style.
This is, I think this is a great question on how you judge the season. Is it a successful season if VGK wins versus Colorado and that's it? I don't think so.
If they win this series and don't get to the finals, that would be a bit of a disappointment.
It's weird, right? It's weird.
They could have
like this could be essentially the 2 of the 3 best teams. If you get by this game or this series, I expect them to make the Stanley Cup final. I expect them to win. I mean, at least compete, in the Stanley Cup final. So I know they could lose to Colorado. They're a big, a decent dog. But yeah, if they get by Colorado, they should go on to challenge for the cup.
Well, and I think I could be wrong on this. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think if they win the series, they would have the home ice advantage against the team out of the Canada division. And yeah, you got to beat that team because There are no real good teams in that division.
Right.
Toronto's okay, but they would not have won any of the other divisions. They wouldn't have been close.
Dave, have we got an update on what the Canada situation is for for this next round? Once Canada makes it into the next round, are they just going to relocate to the U.S.?
I don't know. If that information's out there, I haven't seen it.
Anyone know? I mean, if that's not the case and they have to relocate to the U.S. and then they have I don't know that they'll let fans in. I mean, certainly they're not. There's a small chance that they would have, any of their fans in the building. Hell, VGK fans might travel to wherever it is. The advantage that the Golden Knights will have in the next round, they might have 100% by then or whatever, 15, 16,000. Yeah. The difference between the two arenas is going to be massive.
Yeah, I would assume, unless this, logically, Toronto should play in Buffalo. Yeah. So I would assume they're going to do that.
Yep. But do they let fans in?
In Buffalo?
What are the rules?
Yeah, they'll have fans. I don't know what the percentage will be, but they'll have fans.
Dave, at this point, I have no idea what the NHL does. Can I tell you? I mean, that was all. I started to do it on the air before tonight's game, but the stuff that came out with Reeves, a false positive, forcing you to miss Game 6, and you on the verge of missing Game 7. I mean, what kind of league is this? What is going on?
I don't know.
At this stage,
you got me. They had last week. They had a 9 false positives.
They had 9. They waited until when did it come down? Probably 2:30 today to find out that Reeves was eligible, and he missed Game 6 because of a false positive. I mean, if they lose the series because they look like ass in Game 6, I'm pissed if I'm VGK management.
Yeah, you would think they'd have that straightened out by now.
You would think. So yeah,
but it's the NHL, so
I know
it could be worse. It could be MLB. So
you're right. Oh my God, yeah. Aaron's looking for an all Vegas next round. Toronto or Winnipeg plays their home games at the Orleans or City National. Probably not. Probably not going to happen. So I mentioned Reeves. How nuts was that tonight? How close was he to completely effing things up?
That was not a great penalty.
What was he doing?
I don't know. That was kind of dirty. And it cost them a goal because Minnesota scored on the power play, and at that point, it's like, uh-oh. But they rebounded from it. It'll be interesting to see. I guess Reeves will probably be out there. Kolasar's, quite honestly, not played well. And so I think Reeves is going to be out there the next series. They need the hitter against Colorado. So he's good. He'll be playing.
Wait, Brady, where were you sitting? Were you first 10 rows of the Fortress? By the way, did anyone see the video of Mitch Moss on the glass?
No.
I'll have to punch that up. Mitch was on the glass, and I forget which goal came at him. Whatever it was, someone came. It was right in front of him to the point where you're like, is he on the ice? Dave, I'm telling you, you don't see the board because then he turns and then starts shooting the crowd. I'm like, dude, nice seats. Exactly. Mr. Big Bucks Moss and Mr. Big Bucks Brady.
Good comment from Truth from Duluth. I was worried that there was going to be a major on Reeves.
Probably should have been.
Well, I think if it was a regular season game, it would have been.
He's lucky.
Yeah,
he's lucky because not only was it was an awful play, but also the result was terrible. So a lot of times they judge off of the result, not the intent. By the way, Adam tweeted out a little while ago that Dean Evison said the officials told him on that Reeves hit on Suter, it couldn't be a major because the net isn't the boards.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Are we sure that's a rule?
Well, it is now, evidently.
So what if you actually took someone's head and slammed it into the crossbar? Would that? It's the net,
not the boards. Well, let's just say this: it was a lot closer to a major than the one that happened against San Jose a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Do you after seeing a play like that, do you still feel comfortable defending Reeves against all these fans like Mark?
Look, his job is to go out there, stir up stuff, hit people. I mean, that wasn't the high point of his season, to be sure.
Yeah.
And look, he's not. Nobody's saying he's a great player. Okay, I have never heard anybody say, "Oh, Ryan Reeves, they can't win without him." But he does serve a purpose. And I personally, if you're giving me a choice between Reeves and Colasar, I'm taking Reeves.
Yeah.
He does intimidate a bit.
Yes.
And Colasar doesn't. And honestly, Colasar's got to work on his touch around the net. He's one of the worst goal scorers I've ever seen. I think the talent's there. I think he's got a chance to be a good player, but he's got a lot of work to do.
How about this one from Brady? On the Reeves play, the crowd booed the call in the arena until they saw the replay.
Yeah. Once they saw the replay, I was like, okay, 2 minutes isn't bad.
Yeah, it's almost like, oh shit, we're lucky.
Yeah,
we got away with one there. It does show that fans, no matter what the call is, until they see the replay, they're always thinking they're wronged. Their guys,
sure. Yeah, but at least they had the good sense to not do a ref you suck after the replay was shown.
James says Reeves plays a role, but doesn't need to play each fourth shift.
Well, then you have to double shift somebody. There's a reason he's out there. Look, let the board do the coaching. Okay, he's pretty good at it. I think we found that out. He kind of knows what he's doing. So if he thinks he should be out there, I'm going with him. Because no offense, fans, but you don't know shit compared to the Boers. Okay, you just don't.
Dave, when did you stop criticizing coaches? At a certain point, do you really just pick your spots carefully? If you're going to do it?
No, there's certain coaches or managers that I'll consistently criticize because I think they're lousy at their jobs. I'll give you an example tonight in baseball. Dusty Baker, I know Dusty Baker runs a great clubhouse, and from that standpoint, he was a perfect hire for Houston. He's always been, in my opinion, one of the worst in-game managers in the history of baseball. And he did it again tonight. Good chance. Ryan Presley pitches the ninth inning in a tie game. He threw 8 pitches. 8. He didn't bring him back out for the 10th.
Oh, man.
They gave up a run. Then they were down to Brooks Raley in the 11th inning, who stinks, and they gave up 7 runs. Why would you not bring – I mean, that's a no-brainer. You just bring the guy back out. He's your closer. He just pitched an 8-pitch 9th inning. It's still a tie game. You need to hold the other team at that point. And he threw 8 pitches. If he threw 16 pitches, okay. You don't want to completely use them up. 8. That's just stupid, okay? That's just plain stupid. And Houston's not going to win anything with him. I'll tell you that right now. Houston, they might make the playoffs. That's as far as they'll get. Because he just doesn't know he's never known how to handle pitchers going back to the Kerry Wood days. And he still doesn't.
Yeah, DeBoer is now, I mean, it's pretty impressive. He's 6-0 in Game 7s. That's a pretty good sample. That goes beyond just coin flip, luck.
And one of those Game 7 wins was against the Golden Knights.
Yeah.
They were lucky to get there, but they got there.
He tied Scotty Bowman and Pat Burns for the second most Game 7 wins by a coach in NHL history. He's one behind Darryl Sutter for first all time. That's insane.
That's pretty good. Well, I hope he adds to it. Be nice if he can get the 7-0 in Game 7s.
No more Game 7s in this playoffs.
Well, I tell you right now, if we're to tell, I would think Golden Knights fans would agree with this. If you told them right now, you're guaranteed to play a 7th game against the Avalanche, I think most Golden Knight fans would say, yeah, okay, we'll go for that.
On the hat trick by Janmark, did you see the video of Lehner?
I did not see that, no.
Yeah, Lehner threw his hat out on the ice for the hat trick. So, and And good point. I don't think Fleury's a guy who lacks class, although I think he was complaining to his agent last year. So we don't have any of that drama bullshit that we had last year with the dagger, the sword through back. So good for Lehner.
Yep, and he's there if needed. Hopefully he's not needed, but
I was going to say, for the Avs series, do you reset your mentality if you're DeBoer, or is it Fleury or bust?
No, you got to go with Fleury. Unless he plays poorly, which he doesn't do very often.
No, he was pretty good tonight.
Yeah, he was solid. I mean, one of the goals was, I don't think he ever saw it. And he's climbing the charts as far as all-time playoff wins now. I mean, he's up there in everything.
Right, Martini? So, Dave, last year I threw out there that, eventually Fleury should get a statue. And people were like, "What? Why? Why would he get a statue?" Like, you're going to look back on this era as a guy who freaking set the standard, set the tone for the franchise. He's going to be the first guy who deserves something out in front of T-Mobile, some kind of statue. And I'm sure Leonard's going to be awesome the next 4 years on his contract. But Fleury has reached a level with this team to bounce back from the disappointment of last year of losing his job, to come back this year when they needed him and now start every game in the playoffs is an amazing accomplishment for a guy's age.
I'm hopeful that he'll commission a statue when he's elected mayor of Las Vegas.
That too. Are you sure he's going to beat out someone from the Goodman family? You think we're done? Are we tired of the Goodman family?
I that's no knock on the Goodman family. I just think that Fleury, if he ran for mayor right now, he would win in a landslide against anybody. He's the most popular guy in town.
Willie,
what's up, guys?
What's up, buddy? Where are you? I love this setting. Are you? Did you get out of the building? Are you at the gym?
I did. I messaged you just before 10:30. I said, "Hey, I'm going to race home," and then I remembered that I own a fucking gym right up the street from T-Mobile. So
there you go.
I came right to the perfect gym. Jordan's out of town for the weekend with some bikini competitors for a show in California. I said, "Screw it, I'm just going to go to our gym."
And you don't have to wear a mask.
I don't have to wear a mask. And I'm really wondering if I'm not going to have to wear a mask for the second round, since fans don't have to wear a mask.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
The NHL lifted. They announced today that for the second round, they've lifted their mask mandate, and they're going to leave it up to the individual clubs to decide what will be done within their own arena.
Oh, well, that'll be unanimous.
Yeah, you would think.
I can state that with. If there's a bet available on that, I know which side I'm taking.
All right, Willie, give us your biggest narratives. Why do they look like a different team tonight? I mean, we stated the obvious earlier that Pacioretty changed a lot, but why do you think they look different on offense?
Well, I think it goes beyond just Pacioretty being there and his presence. I think the sense of urgency, they pulled their head out of their asses, and they took advantage of the opportunities they had. And the other thing is by moving Tuck back down to the third line with Janmark, it somewhat expanded that depth that they're used to. So it's not just Pacioretty's presence, which obviously provides a boost and sort of relieves some stress from some guys feeling the necessity to step their game up. But, you get a little bit of, or a lot of bit, as it turns out, of depth on that third line. And look what happens with Janmark. I mean, I don't know if there's another player that I've seen or covered in a situation. I haven't covered a lot of hockey, but as far as Tuck is concerned, how many times since that Stanley Cup shot that Holtby saved have we seen Tuck have an opportunity? And he had another one tonight, a wide open net, and he just is either it was a deflection, and it went wide. But and I mean, he's done some damage for the Golden Knights. He's been effective, but geez, that guy's had so many opportunities with open nets. There's one thing he needs to work on during the offseason. It's just have a bunch of guys on him, putting him pressure and skating in with a wide look at the net and getting the puck in there. But yeah, Janmark was fantastic. It was the second time I tweeted this out. I think it was the second time that we've seen a Golden Knight go for an empty netter by diving for it, because I want to say Carlson did that in the inaugural season when he got his empty netter. If you remember, he dove for one and got his empty net. So it was good to see that kid get it too, because I messaged Steve Cofield, Dave, during the game, and I said, yeah, let's think back to the trade deadline, the Friday before the deadline. And Dave and I both said, no, they're not going to reach out and get a big headliner this year like they have in the past, but they'll get someone that's just effective enough at some point for them. I don't know if you remember that, Dave, but you and I both said that. The person that they're going to get is going to have enough of an effect, but this year they're not going to go get a headliner like they have in the past at the trade deadline. And lo and behold, look who it was.
Yeah, he's been effective. It was a good deal. Deal looks very good right now. He's played well. But the big deal, I don't think there's any question. The big deal tonight was just getting Max back on the ice. That it changes the whole. It just changes the whole mindset for the team. He's the sniper. He really is. He's the sniper on this team, and having him back out there was huge for them mentally.
Yeah,
hopefully he's good to go the rest of the way.
Getting that goal. Just having him there, and then getting the goal. You know, you get yourself a goal from Haig and from Whitecloud. And I'll tell you what. You know, Dave Shane and I, the beat writer for the Review Journal, we talked about this one night on the phone, and he said, you know what, that's the story I'm going to do, because he was trying to figure out what he was going to do for an off day feature, and he got to thinking about Shea Theodore. This was before it started becoming a topic on social media and then NHL.com. Some of the NHL writers that everyone looked up, and Shea didn't have a point. So Dave had already started working on that story. Man, hats off to Shea Theodore, because on Whitecloud's goal, he's unselfishly took that puck into the zone, paused, and then he went ahead and he could have taken a shot if he wanted to, you know, but he saw Whitecloud. He had a better angle to make a move in, pass or into the circle and toward the edge of it, and Whitecloud found the far upper corner past Talbot. So, you know, Shea played very unselfishly tonight. He picked up 2 assists, so it's good to see him get some points. And, you know, and I asked DeBoer this, in a Game 7 situation, you know, and you get 6 goals, take away the empty netter if you have to. But Pacioretty, yeah, you would expect him to be one of the guys that step up. But the other 3 goal scorers, you wouldn't necessarily expect him to be the hero. That's it. Haig? Yeah.
If you were going to tell me, all right, pick the least likely guy to score a goal for the Golden Knights, I might have said Haig.
Right.
But he got one. And Brady's saying confirmed. Was it confirmed that it was a toe? Yeah, it was his big toe for Pacioretty. I know that. Okay, I have someone who has good information.
Sources.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a toe injury, there's nothing you can do.
Well, it's big toe too. It's different if it's one of the other toes. Big toe though that's a problem.
Well, any toe. I mean, I'm saying, like, if it's if anything's broken or cracked, anything. There's nothing. You just got to let it heal.
Yeah, and a sprain it's a mild fracture.
Right.
Doesn't require surgery, but you can't. You have big toes, kind of important.
And you know what? Everybody's sitting there, you know, and I'm right. You know, pressure. We're looking at. We're asking the questions. 6 goals. The players they made available were the 4 goal scorers and DeBoer. But let's not shy away from the fact that Fleury, you know, after X amount of games of not allowing more than 2 goals, he allowed 3 in back-to-back. Tonight, he only allowed 2 goals, and you know, and one was a power play. And I mean, the one that Parisi scored was just ridiculous. I mean, he wasn't good. That was, I mean, come on. I actually was sitting next to Danny Webster from NHL.com, and I looked over and I was like, oh, man, because I didn't know if he had saw that. But Parisi snuck in from the behind the net and maneuver, and I looked at Fleury he's sitting there, and I watched him do this like this, and in my mind, I was like, oh, man, this is going to be a problem if they send one to the net. I was waiting for Fleury to give a little shove, because he's notorious for that. He'll shove a guy right out of the crease, but he never really backed in far enough to smother him that he could do that.
I don't think he saw him coming around.
No, and then he sent the puck between the 2 legs. So, but Fleury was, again, you know, I mean, for the pucks he saw, was 19 saves, I believe. He was fantastic. It would not shock me, though, to go through those 7 games in a short turnaround that if Lehner gets to start in game one just to give him a breather. It just wouldn't. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if he starts Fleury, but if there's ever going to be a game that he's going to turn to Lehner, it just wouldn't surprise me if that's the game.
I would be very surprised.
If he gets a game at all? Or
if he gets game one?
Yeah. I just think that's the only game I can see it taking place.
Okay, Fleury's playing every game until he has a bad game. A bad game. Okay, and if he doesn't have a bad game, he's not coming out of the net.
Lots of the commenters are saying Lehner game one. Get Fleury.
How do you know he needs rest?
I'm just saying. How do you guys know he needs rest?
I don't think he'll ever admit to needing rest.
Hockey players don't. This isn't the NBA. Okay, they don't do load management in this league. If you're good to go, you play.
And you know what? I would take Fleury's 36-year-old, his 36-year-old mentality and recovery and his post-game everything that he does basically to take care of his body against a lot of the 22, 23-year-olds in the league. That dude is emphatic. He and I have talked for 40 ever since he came here. We have talked basically because when questions come up about training and conditioning, especially once they get right when they come back, for training camp, or you just start talking about off season. A lot of guys, they'll just ask, what did you do? Oh, I worked on my conditioning. Okay, thanks. They move on to the next guy. I kind of get deep just because when you have a son who owns a fitness company, is a professional trainer, professional bodybuilder, I'll actually get in and start asking, well, what type of training did you do? Were you doing hypertrophy? Were you doing this? Were you doing that? Whatever it may be. So, and that dude, Fleury, is a fanatic about body recovery and muscle recovery.
He played 17 straight games this year, didn't he?
At one point, was it 17?
Yeah, I think it was 17.
When Lehner was out with the concussion? Yeah.
He's
so
fine.
he's his body is.
I'm sorry, but you don't. I've been around hockey all my life, so take my word for it. You don't take out your starting goaltender in game one of a series, unless there's something that indicates he can't go.
Yeah.
If DeBoer makes a judgment that I don't know, he's just that he is tired and needs a break, and I don't think that's going to happen. He's playing.
Concussion.
And by the way, it's as simple as this.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that this. It's not a knock on Lehner, but this team is more confident when Fleury's in goal. They just are. They just are. Goalies don't. You don't do goalie rotations in the playoffs. Never.
I don't think they're going to do a rotation. I don't think.
No,
they're
but
gonna,
I mean,
I don't think they're going to.
You don't do one game substitute. You just don't do it in the end. I've been following the game my entire life. You know when this happens? Never. It just doesn't happen. You only take the number one out if he's playing like shit, and you got to take him out. That's it. I mean, it sucks for Lehner because he's a quality goaltender, and I'm sure he wants to play. But as we've said all season long on this broadcast and everywhere else, there isn't any question about the number one goalie on this team. It's Fleury. And in the playoffs, you play the number one goalie.
What about Lehner's style? Is it a better match against Colorado?
Style?
Wild?
I don't know about that.
Style.
Well, they do have two different styles, but I mean, I would much rather have Fleury's athleticism and his goalie skills over Lehner against Colorado.
I mean, I don't understand you guys. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Okay, he's one of the best goalies in the history of the league. All the numbers prove that. I think he's going to win the Vezina this year as the best goalie in the league. He's certainly going to be a finalist, and I think he's going to win it. He's the starting. That's it. All right. Jesus Christ.
I'm reading all the comments here.
What do you mean? You can't tell if I agree or disagree. Listen to Dave. God damn it. Carvelli. Stop fighting it.
Okay, Franco saying.
I've also heard this my entire life. He needs a rest. They just don't do that. It's the playoffs. Okay, nobody needs a rest in the playoffs. Nobody. I think I got to tell you something. If DeBoer were to go to Fleury tomorrow and tell him, we're going to give you a day off on Saturday, you might see that tweet again with the dagger. I mean, it's just okay. It's just. I'd be absolutely again. I don't. If he shows up tomorrow, and he's not 100%, or the judgment's made that he really needs a game off. All right, but that's the chances of that happening are pretty remote.
I do like the fact that DeBoer's decisions in the last week, that there have been certain times where he's given them the day off in between, and rather than even an optional, no optional, just take. I think that's helped.
Yeah,
with the entire team.
I think it's pretty safe bet they're not going to be doing anything extended tomorrow.
No, they'll be traveling. They'll be traveling and relaxing. Plus, you want to, the one thing that I could see them possibly doing, traveling, getting up there, and maybe doing some sort of, I'm sure they bring or they'll have some cardio equipment, just to get used to the altitude. But again, they're used to that traveling. And let's not forget, they played well up there. What, one or two games?
Let me give you an example here. Okay, in the Winnipeg Edmonton series, Winnipeg's up 3-0, and Hellebuck had a hell of a game 3. He was tremendous. And they had to play the next night. Guess who was in goal for Winnipeg? They're up 3-0. They could actually afford to give away a game. Hellebuck was back in goal again. Okay? Starting goaltenders don't get rested in the playoffs. Ever. For rest. They never get a game off for rest. Only for ineffectiveness. That's the only time you pull your starting goaltender in the playoffs. Now, I've only followed the game for about 55 years, so I might be wrong on this, except I'm not. Okay? Starting goaltenders start. Period. Brady gets it right.
Willie, do you know, is the 7-game slate already scheduled? Did you get it?
Well, game one, hold on, I'll pull it up. Game one is Sunday for sure, and the
Tuesday.
Game 2 is Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay.
With less, with half the slate gone.
Sure.
I'm looking it up here.
Even better, by the way. 2 days off after the first game.
Yep.
So what? You want Fleury to sit for almost a week?
James joking, as a lifelong hockey fan of 4 years now, trust DeBoer because he knows.
DeBoer knows game 7s.
Yeah. 6-0 now. Oh, that's right. The Nuggets. That's why it's on Wednesday too. The Nuggets.
That's right, because of the Nuggets.
Cool.
Forgot about that too.
That's not bad. That's actually a good thing. I don't mind getting 2 days. I don't mind getting 2 days off there in the altitude. Get a day to just take it easy and then have a full practice the next day. That's good.
Yeah. The official site just has it. Just has Sundays listed. At 5 p.m. NBC, looks like national NBC, regular NBC. They don't have it beyond. They don't have the rest of the schedule beyond Monday, but I do believe game 2 is Wednesday, and I think that would put game 3 here either Friday or Saturday. I would guess it's going to be Friday and Sunday.
By the way, good job by the local broadcasters. I love it that as soon as the game was over, I switched over to AT&T Sportsnet and caught the local guys doing the post game. Good job.
Yeah.
I want to get the local feel. And
the 6 o'clock puck drop.
Great outfit by Knight. He was really dressed to the nines tonight.
That 6 o'clock puck drop was nice too.
Yeah.
Better than the 7 for a lot of us.
That was for TV purposes, and I got no problem with that. The more people watching, the better.
Only game on too, so that's kind of good for the game being here, and I mean beyond the Golden Knights and the NHL, just in general, a Friday night, the most important game on television in any sport, even though the NBA's in their playoffs, it really showed. There you go. It really showed the the enthusiasm of the town. You got the Athletics in town touring the city. I mean, it just was really good for Las Vegas as a whole. It was good for the town, and then to pull off the way that they performed, and the crowd was electric in there. It was wild. I was surprised Brady didn't get escorted out.
It sounded absolutely great, and hopefully, I mean, I'm just from an excitement standpoint, I'm hopeful that when they get back to Game 3, every seat's filled. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be great. I would imagine the crowd's got to grow, right? They got to. Eventually, it's going to grow. I mean, if they make it to the Stanley Cup final, they have to open it up.
Well, it's kind of like this. I was kind of amused last night watching the game in Nashville. If you're going to allow 14,500 in, which they did, then just open it up.
Yeah.
I mean, really. What 75%? If you get to 75% capacity allowed, then you may as well just go to 100. Okay, at that point, it's kind of ridiculous. Say, well, we're going to still keep one out of every 4 seats.
Right,
vacant.
I don't understand the spacing.
What's the point?
It's bullshit because they're walking around the concourse, going to the bathrooms. That's kind of one of the things with for us on press row, where they have us coming up that elevator on the side now instead of the regular entrance.
Right.
Well, the way we come in, we got to go up. We end up at that Hyde Lounge, the same exact spot that the public's going in. So, and then they go one way, we go the other. But yet we can't use the press bathroom. We're mixing in with the public.
What the?
And it was just a couple of games ago where I said, hey, I want to go down to the concourse. I had some people that were there just to say hello. They're like, no, you can't go mix with the public. I'm thinking, well, we're mixing with the public that's in the Hyde Lounge. So I think this second round and the NHL lifted, and a lot of that was the NHL guidelines. It wasn't the Golden Knights being a hard ass. It was the league, and they're just following protocol. They want someone with a credential walking around the concourse. I get it. So but I think with the second round and a lot of these mandates being lifted, I think it's going to open up, and it's going to be better, obviously, for a lot of reasons. And they get to the Stanley Cup final, you got to have a packed house in that place. I mean, it's the electricity's crazy.
There you go. James says, I trust in Dave, or in Dave, I trust. Anything over 50 should be 100.
Well, it's what is it, 70 in there now? 70 inside T-Mobile, I believe. Let me see. The actual official, even though you can get standing room only, the official sold out crowd in T-Mobile is 17,367. That's like the official number that they put in the box score. So with 12,167 divided by 70%. 70% was in the building tonight. And it sure seemed like there was a lot more than 12,000 in that place. I can tell you that. When you look down from where we're at and see when they're all in there, it almost looks like the seats that are empty, it feels like it's between periods, and those are people just walking around. That's how it seemed. It doesn't seem that empty. So, and they sure stayed loud and energetic, that's for sure. The Golden Knights gave them a big reason to.
Do you think who will travel better and try to invade the other arena? Avs fans or Golden Knights fans?
I think Golden Knights fans.
Yeah.
Just based on what they've done in the past. I'm sure Colorado fans travel well.
Right.
And coming to Vegas is, who doesn't want to come to Vegas? But I do think that the Golden Knights fans, I think that they'll be more. I mean, you hear it when they're broadcasting national broadcast games, and you're hearing the national anthem, and they're yelling "Night" at that point in the song. I mean, you hear that all damn near once they opened it up. But I mean, before the pandemic, you hear that almost all the time. So I just think I think that Vegas will travel better, but and I don't at this point I don't know how much of a difference that's going to make. Not in Denver, not against that team.
I want to. Who put up something about when the Penguins won in 2017? They alternated goaltenders.
I think that was it. Truth from Duluth.
Yeah. Truth.
Well, that's incorrect. Okay, they didn't.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive. Fleury was the starter. He was eventually lifted. He wasn't playing real well, and they went with Murray. Starting on May 17th, 2017, in game, I forget which game it was in the Ottawa series, and he played the rest of the games. That's it. He played every game the rest of the way.
That's what I thought. That was a rotation. It was a replacement.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't a rotation.
Right.
Sorry. Nice try.
Truth. It's like 0 for 2, dude. You're challenging us on Fleury and goalies alternating, and then you're completely wrong for the last 3 weeks on Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's been a devastating couple of weeks for Truth. Has anyone looked up the hotel rooms next weekend? Is it actually all booked up? So if any Rocky Mountain people want to come down, you're screwed. Paying through the nose time. Got to change the handle. Falsehoods from Duluth. You want to lock horns with Koken, especially Mount Koken. Don't do that.
Well, I still have a pretty good memory. One of the things I've been blessed with, it's not what it used to be, but I won't say total recall, but I've always had a really good memory for detail, and 2017 is not that long ago. I remember that playoff. Okay, Fleury was not playing well, and they went to I think he was still a rookie at that time, Matt Murray, and he got hot, and he wasn't coming. He played every game from that point on. Fleury just sat there and watched. He got his name on the cup, but that was one year where he didn't have a great deal to do with it.
And now neither one are there.
No, Matt Murray he has struggled with concussions and injury issues. Had some good moments for Ottawa this year, but certainly is not having the career that I think people envisioned for him when he piloted the Penguins to that cup. And again, that's, concussions are they're a rough deal.
All right, so I wanted to ask you guys about some of the other big stories of the week, just to address what Truth was saying. How has he been wrong about Rodgers? Our argument has basically been picking sides. Is Rodgers right, or is Packers management right? I don't know. It looked this week like the wide receivers for the Packers think that Rodgers is right when they no-showed OTAs. So there's a little bit of an insurrection going on. By the way, I know OTAs aren't the most important thing, but that ain't good for Jordan Love. Like, hey, he's here by himself. He gets to work with all the backups, like really backups.
Yeah, I look. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have inside information, but it's very clear he doesn't want to be there anymore. Now, he might still be there anyway, because sometimes management doesn't give in to the desires of a player. But it's pretty obvious he wants out. So whether he is or not, time will tell. But I would make that he's someplace else at least a small favorite at this point.
I don't know, Truth. The Raiders had 84-89 at OTAs, so.
That was on the day you're talking about, the day that we were allowed there, right? Because a lot of us were taking roll call.
Actually, Adam Hill was saying there were 2 more or 3 more inside who didn't come out. That Jacobs was inside. I forget who was inside. Ngakwe's not here.
Right. We were standing there with Will Kiss, for the media relations director for the Raiders, Paul Gutierrez and I. And Paul was actually doing an actual roll call, checking them off the roster. And there were a couple that were, and Will said, well, they were out here yesterday. So just because they're still voluntary, just because they're not out there one day, the one day that the media happens to be out there, they're still out. The whole team is out there throughout the week. So there could be a day or 2 or 3 that they're out there, and that was the day that they chose not to go out there, and we just didn't see them. Doesn't mean that they're not going out to OTAs.
Right.
So there were a couple that Will had mentioned to Paul. I overheard them say, he was like, "Oh no, he was here yesterday." So
what was it like, Willie?
It was good.
The whole return to normalcy, because you guys have not been able to be around the players at all.
Yeah, well, last year there was when training camp opened, those first couple of weeks, we were allowed at a certain section on the side, and we were out there. You go out there for practice for a certain amount of time, and then go back to the media room. It was somewhat the same. We were a little bit closer because of how the stations were, the positions. They're not in pads; they're in their jerseys and shorts. And there was one point where they had to back us up a little bit because the offensive linemen, they were working literally, just in front of us.
Oh, I'd back up voluntarily. You wouldn't have to make me back up.
About 6 feet. They said they moved over. You got Big Richie Incognito out there and them boys. But you know what? It seemed like
some big guys.
They were having a lot of. Yeah.
First time I was ever at a training camp was in Smithfield, Rhode Island, Patriots training camp. Got invited to go there by somebody. I don't remember who. I was a teenager at the time. That might not have been a teenager. It was when Steve Grogan was there. So I was young. Let's put it that way. It was nothing to do with media. Let's put it that way. And I was on the sidelines, and those guys were big. Then they were big. It's like, holy shit. You don't realize until you get up close. And they're bigger now. They're a lot bigger now than they were then. Because these guys are all, back then, these guys weren't exactly, let's just put it this way. The body fat content was a lot higher then than it is now. These guys are all chiseled now.
Yeah.
Man, they're freaking huge.
And let me tell you something. Those linemen that you see on the roster that are 6'2", 6'3", 300 pounds, 285, when they're pulling their jersey up to wipe their face, whatever, that's not flab. That's big, thick. Those boys are big and they're thick and they're dense. That's muscle density. These aren't overweight, flabby linemen. Even in May and June and July, they're muscular. They're big. They're thick.
Yeah.
And the one thing I took from Wednesday was that it was almost like, I don't know if it was because of normalcy or what, but they looked like it was already August, like training, like they were jovial. They were joking with one another. They were having fun with one another, they seemed just so happy to be out there, heat or not. You know what I mean? And it hadn't gotten to the 90s, hundreds, whatever. But it was the sun was out. But that's what I took from it, was that they were having a good time. They were really enjoying being out there and being among one another and just sort of being out there. And that was one of the things that Incognito brought up on the Zoom, was that even though the NFLPA put that statement out, they got together as a team and said, there's other teams that are ignoring that memo, and if there's at least one team on our schedule that's out there, basically, that they are saying, screw that memo, we're going to work, then there's somebody working harder than us, and we need to be out there. And they embraced it, and so we'll see. We're invited for 3 Wednesdays in a row, and then they'll have their 3-day mini camp. So I'll be back out there next Wednesday, and then the following Wednesday, and I think that they were just happy to be back on the field doing team activity.
So what's the buzz around town with the Oakland A's traveling show here? I know they visited Portland this week. They visited here. Las Vegas has to be the front runner if they do move, right?
I would think.
No offense to Portland, but it's Portland. Las Vegas has to be the front runner, don't they?
The president was on the radio this morning. He mentioned that he's been to the Aces game. He's been to an Aviators game. He's been to a Golden Knights game. He actually, he talked about Don Logan. He said, one of the best overall in professional baseball in terms of, management is concerned. So, I mean, Don's going to show him every nook and cranny. And if there's anybody else dialed in more, more than Don Logan, well, let me know. I don't care who the fuck you are. Whether it's Mark Davis or Kerry Booble, Don Logan is still the man. He's been here since longer than, so that dude, and on top of it, is just a great guy. He's not big time anybody.
Don's as good as it gets.
There's nobody better. So I mean, you talk about an ambassador cell in Las Vegas. Don's the man. So
that's Gemma.
Gemma, yeah. Where is Jimmy Gemma?
From that tonight. Jimmy's usually here. And again, that's not a knock on Portland. It's a nice city, but in terms of national visibility and the way this city is able to handle anything big, that's a no-brainer. I'm at the point now. It's like, you know what, Oakland, go ahead and lose another team. We'll be happy to take another team from you, and they'll flourish here, and they will.
There he is. There's Jimmy Jim.
There he is. Jimmy, of course, Jimmy knows Don Logan about as well as anybody. And
well, Jimmy's been here longer than Don. Jimmy's a native.
Yeah. But
been here longer than me.
We got to get Jimmy on one of these weeks because I just can't see how are we going to pay for another stadium? I don't know. The stadiums end up paying for themselves, kind of, I don't know. I'm not worried about it. It's sports in this city, big league. The revenue, the Raiders and the Golden Knights are producing in this city is phenomenal.
I just want to address one thing.
Wait till next year.
I just want to address one thing because every time that this comes up, someone just commented, and I'm not slamming whoever there was. You just highlighted that quote about Ray LV 702. Okay, let me just address this before, because what I'm tired of, and Ray, this isn't personal. Well, what I am really fucking irritated and tired of is everybody slamming Allegiant Stadium and the taxpayer, and it was. Do we not fucking remember that we just went through a pandemic? It's really not fair to gauge and judge until after this next season and to see the revenue that it brings in and this town brings in and how the casino town, whatever it is that's going toward that. Because in really, when you go through what we just went through worldwide, but in Las Vegas alone, and yes, that fucking stadium, it just happened to be on that year. You cannot gauge and judge and say, oh, look at taxpayers, they're suffering, da-da-da. Let's get through the first real NFL season with no pandemic and that place full, and then everything else that's going to come with it, with the bowl games and concerts and so the draft next April, eventually the Super Bowl in a few years. So, no, I get it, Ray, and that's why I said I'm not talking about you. You just mentioned how are we going to pay for another one. I'm not slamming you. What I'm saying is, in general, that keeps coming up on social media, and in general, that's all I've heard for the last 8 months is how it was a bust and we should have never did this, and just different people in general. But it just, when you said that, it triggered my thought process, and it's not fair. It's not fair. Go ahead, Dave.
I think in a lot of cities, I would agree completely with the premise that the taxpayers should not be paying for it, because the city really doesn't. They just don't. They don't derive to me that much benefit from replacing Stadium A with Stadium B. But in Las Vegas, well, number one, we're not replacing any stadium because we have to build new ones, and it's Las Vegas. This is what this city is all about: is doing whatever it takes to get the most people here possible. To spend their money, and that trickles down to basically everybody in the service industry, and that's the lifeblood of the city. Okay, if the service industry if the hospitality industry employees aren't making money, we got a problem in this city. And thus far, to my knowledge, the only failure that we've had was the NBA All-Star Week, which was not good, and it wasn't good, right. And honestly, that's something that the that left a very bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, especially in the hospitality industry. And I do think it's the one thing that could hold up the NBA coming here. But NFL, certainly not a problem. The NHL has been an enormous success. And got to call it straight. This has always been a great baseball town. Really has.
Yeah.
And I think the A's would be, the Las Vegas A's, if you want to call them that, would be a huge success.
Yeah, no, I agree. 100%. It's, and yeah, that All-Star game, that was just a disaster with everything that took place, from little quirks and things at Thomas and Mack that they had said that ended up being, it really, and then there was a lot of fights around town. There was a lot of things that happened on the Strip that it just was, the city wasn't happy, the county wasn't happy.
A lot of chewing and screwing going on too.
Yeah,
I know a ton of people in the restaurant industry because I eat every meal out, and it was like an epidemic of people who not only didn't tip, they didn't pay the check.
Right.
They just got up and left. It was not good.
Now, and I can't remember what year that was. I want to say because Jordan was, because I remember we went to the kid thing that they had at Mandalay Bay. So maybe 18 years ago, I think. Maybe he was 7 or 8. But the thing is, I will say that the league has evolved in this town with the success of the NBA Summer League. I'm not sure what they do bring their board of governors meetings. I know that Silver, addresses the Wynn and the Encore as the host hotel. So I mean, maybe that sort of helped heal some of that. And eventually, I have heard, now the very first team I ever heard with one of the local insiders, Jamison Welsh, about 5-6 years ago at the Summer League. The very first team I had heard that wanted to leave its city was New Orleans.
Yeah.
The Pelicans wanted to leave. And that was because once the old man died, right? Once Tommy Benson died, the kids, they don't care about the NBA team. All they care about is the Saints. Their love is for the Saints. Benson loved both the teams. And once that, they said that they were looking to get it. Now, lately, the one team that I have heard that a group is trying to put together, this is not confirmed, this is just rumblings, is the Timberwolves. And I've heard that's a very good possibility, that there's a group that's interested in bringing that team because that team's interested in. So whether who knows? The bottom line is there is talk. I do think Seattle would be in front of Las Vegas, but
probably as it should be because they kind of got screwed.
Yeah, but beyond that, like you said, baseball, slam dunk, or in this case, a home run. The NBA would be a slam dunk.
Yeah, on the basketball thing, it just came out this week that that A-Rod group, there actually is not. Glenn Taylor said there was an agreement that the team would not move when he sells, and then they looked through the deal, and there's nothing in the deal that says the A-Rod group can't move him. So, that's not on A-Rod, that's on Glenn Taylor.
Yeah,
for either not knowing what was in the deal or just outright lying.
Mark and LV, yeah, I agree with you. I think that's been proven with the Golden Knights in terms of an organic fan base. Obviously, an expansion team would be better, but whether or not they're going to expand. Now, I think we talked about that a couple of weeks ago, was that Silver had come out and said, or someone had come out and said that the NBA they'd like to expand by 2 to sort of recoup some funds, and that's the way that they would want to do it, was having somebody buy in with 2 franchises. But I think if the Oakland A's transferred here and they relocated here and became the Las Vegas A's, if they changed the name or if they kept it, whatever the case, I do think that because baseball and its long standing here and the history and the roots, and especially with the AAA club and how long it's been here, and the relationship that the entire franchise, starting with Donnie Logan, has built in this community, I do think that it would just carry over, and you would be able to build a fan base in this town when it comes to a Major League Baseball team, regardless whether it's expansion or relocation.
Be the same thing as with the NHL. I mean, there's a lot of fans in town who will, if they're Bruins fans, that's the game they want to go to every year. Of course, we didn't have one this year because of the schedule setup, but they want They want to be there at T-Mobile for the Bruins game, or I've got friends in Boston who they came out here. They've come out here for that game, and they stay for 3 or 4. It's like, okay, we'll take our vacation the week the Bruins are playing there, and it's the same with a lot of cities around the league. Baseball, it's a natural fit because they actually play 3 and 4 game series.
Yeah,
it'd be perfect. I mean, the geography, the way it's set up in baseball is you play way more games against your division opponents. So it'd be playing games against teams that are not they're drivable distance. Anaheim, who else? You'd have it.
Well, even Houston and Texas. I mean, it's Southwest. Yeah. It's a couple states over, but it's a doable thing. You can jump on Southwest, make a trip of it. You know what I mean? Because you got to figure if the Las Vegas A's are going to Houston, then they're going to follow and go to Texas. So, hey, let's go to Texas for the week and go to both series. And Brady.
By the way, it's in the summertime when sometimes people don't want to come here because it's like 190 degrees. They'll come here for that and sit in a dome stadium and enjoy baseball.
Yeah.
And then they'll go out and spend lots of money in the casinos and at the restaurants and whatever else. And sports, I mean, the value of sports franchises just keeps on going up, as Jimmy just said.
To Brady's point, need expansion teams to build fan bases quick. People switch to VGK, not as many to Raiders. Well, that's because they're going to switch to a brand new team that there were never any haters. There's not going to be that many switching to the Raiders because they got a shit ton of haters, especially the Raiders, right? The Raiders and Cowboys might be the 2 most hated team in the league. So
for baseball, if your choice is expansion team or the A's, you want the A's.
Oh, yeah.
You do not want it. Rob Manfred is a moron. The baseball owners are idiots. They're greedy. They will not set up an expansion draft to be as beneficial.
No.
To give a chance to the new teams to win, and you don't win here in Vegas from the get-go. Now I don't want the A's coming here and Billy Bean's like, we're going to do the same thing with Moneyball. Fuck that. I don't think they would. You're a big market team, so do it. Let me just, I just want to throw in here real quick because Brady threw up. Brady knows that, I was anti the $750 million. So he was pushing me Mount Cofield. I'll just give you a couple of the negatives on the stadium and funding on the Strip, things that are falling short, which doesn't mean they'll fall short forever, but that they need to fix. First of all, with that $750 going to the stadium, the allotment of Metro on the Strip sucks. All right. Now they raised our sales tax. So when people are like, oh, it's not your money, they actually did. Clark County, they raised it, a quarter. So the last year and a half, security down on the Strip has sucked. So they got to fix that. All right.
That's an infrastructure issue that
Oh, but Dave, that's
quite frankly, it should have been addressed from the get-go.
Of course it should have, but that is money that could come from that hotel tax revenue pot.
Yes.
The other thing is the roads related to the Strip. Now, maybe not the 15, but the other roads related to the Strip, and we're talking about a couple of blocks over, they are in disrepair. So they need to find money if they're going to raise money, right? Or they're going to raise taxes. They need to fucking fix. Koval's a disaster. Paradise sucks balls. Koval behind. I mean, they have to fix Koval behind Venetian and by the Sphere. They got to fix all of that. And
I would say this.
They also have to fix transportation from the airport to and from the airport. So I'm just saying, like, those are some of the things that have been pushed aside because of the stadium. So for people to be like, hey, everything is beneficial. My whole argument the whole time, and I'll just leave it at this, is I think we could have gotten a little better deal, and maybe it didn't have to be $750. It could have been $500, but we know most of the politicians at the time were not going to fight shit. They weren't going to do anything. They barely read the proposal. So that's all I'm saying in terms of.
No, I go along with that.
Some of the things that have fallen off need to be addressed this next time they're raising funds for a baseball stadium.
Well, and aside from that, whoever runs for mayor next, I think her term is up, isn't it?
He's done.
The number one thing they should run on is fixing public works. It's a mess. Okay?
But public works falls under county.
All I know is our road construction out here is an absolute joke.
I agree, but I'm just saying. That
to me, if you want to win an election for mayor in this city,
of course,
you go on that platform. I'm going to fix this shitty road repair service that we've got. Whoever runs on that platform is going to win.
I don't know this.
They'll win in a walk.
Honestly, Willie, the LV Boulevard portion that is through the city down to Cashman, because that's been under construction.
Oh, yeah, that's city. Yeah,
it is city, right?
Well, yes, Las Vegas Boulevard downtown. That's in the city of Las Vegas, but Clark County Public Works. When you see the road divisions, I mean, I don't think that there's a city public works division that works on the roads. They would collaborate.
Then come up with one. Because I'll give you an example.
They have a board, like the Las Vegas Water Board is made up of county commissioners and city count. But in all, that's right. That's the county commission that's a county division is the public works. But yes, city and county board members work together on one board.
Look, I'll give you this because I live in the area. Rainbow Russell has basically been torn up for 5 years. 5 fucking years. Okay. Yeah. And it's like that all over the city. And I'm serious. I'm not running for mayor. It doesn't matter to me. But for mayoral candidates, there's your ticket to victory. Is just focus on that and nothing else. We're going to fix your roads in timely fashion so you won't be inconvenienced for the rest of your life. And you will win. You will win. You will win in a walk. It doesn't matter whether you've got an R or a D next to your name. You just go with that, and you're a winner.
Hashtag vote for Fleury.
Yeah, Mayor Fleury. He'll get it done.
I just drove through fucked up construction on Valley View to get here. I took
where was that at?
So I took Russell, right? Came Frank Sinatra Drive up to Russell. So by the side of Mandalay. Russell up to Valley View, took a right to come to Tropicana, and then shoot in the back way into our gym. But Valley View is all tore up right now.
Look at it this way. Derek Stevens produced an extraordinary hotel. It really is. It's absolutely an extraordinary hotel.
Yep.
And he did so in less time than it takes to fix one stretch of road in this city.
There you
go.
The stretch of Main Street by his property down to the Nugget has been under construction for like a year and a half. I will tell you, I'm not joking on this. When I'm on the east side, because I live on the west side, and I could easily go home on the 15 to the 95, I will drive through Harmon over the Strip because they redid Harmon. You can take Harmon, and there's a Valley View, and you can take Harmon over the Orleans. I fucking drive through there because I'm like, I love this.
Listen, let me take it even further.
I think this is great. I drive it just for the pleasure of like, it's done.
Wait, let me take it even further. The very first fucking year, we're in the 4th playoffs with this team. Yeah. The very first year, I had to gauge and read signs of when 15 from, and I'm looking because I'm right here, 15 from the Tropicana down all the way out to the 215 in North Las Vegas. I would have to know when they were doing construction or not. So whether I was going to take the 15, if I didn't, you know how I can get home quicker in this fucking town from our gym is I take Harmon straight up to Rainbow to 95 back to the 215, and then to Aliante. Harmon or Russell will get you to Rainbow in 7 minutes.
No, it's just
that's insane,
and it just
that is so out of the way.
People get so happy. Listen, when the Desert Inn overpass got built, got constructed, it's like this is great. Yeah. Everybody was thrilled. It's like, geez, we can actually get from one side to the other without it being an incredible hassle. How about you just kind of get that mindset for the entire city? It would be like, smart. People would like it.
It's bad here, man. I know it's bad everywhere, but
but here's the thing. Nothing is done right here. I've mentioned this many times. I used to drive to Jersey on a regular basis from Rhode Island when I lived back there. And there was constantly road construction going on the Garden State Parkway. They did it at night. Okay? So people weren't inconvenienced during the day. They get the shit out of there during the day, so it's like, okay, go ahead. And at night, when there's not much traffic, that's when they went out and worked. Now, why can't we do that here?
Yeah.
Especially in Las Vegas, because I will tell you, I think the weather's better here at night than it is in New Jersey, like 8 months out of the year. Yeah. But it's as simple as this. One state has an idea what they're doing, and this city clearly doesn't. I always felt that We still have a small town mentality as far as public works are concerned here, and we're not a small town anymore.
By the way, I used to live in the Southwest, Sunset and Fort Apache, and I almost never go down there. And when I do go down there, I'm like, and I moved 5 years ago. I'm like, this is still fucked up. And Aaron says it. Fort Apache Southwest is still an effing disaster. What else? There was other people saying it's often blocked off. There's a hospital down there. It's effed up in front of the hospital. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, is that
How could Fort Apache in front of the hospital need to be coned off every day for this long? Because that's on the way down. If you're going south, then there's Wet and Wild. And south of that, forget about it. That's that whole stretch that's all windy that needs to be, that needs to be made safe. And that unfortunately is the area where Zayon Collins was driving, which is incredibly dangerous. So
wait, Steve, can I direct message you on Twitter a picture and you can still share it, or does it have to be a tweet?
You can try it. We'll try it.
All right, hang on.
What's Brady sending to me here? We got all the researchers doing our stuff here. Brady, you want me to punch this up for Dave? Is this like a counter to Dave flipping out? I know the roads it's a very complicated maze of who pays for it, who manages it. I've actually seen the city and the county, the idiots who run their Twitter accounts, like going back and forth, like not us, not us, not us, not us. And as a resident, you're like, cut it out.
Well, maybe it's time to kind of fix that.
Yeah.
Maybe fix that too. If it's in Las Vegas, it should be under Las Vegas auspices. Period.
This is what I want to go back to, Steve.
Yeah.
I just sent you the direct message. See if you can pull that up.
So let's see. The Department of Public Works delivers a wide range of services, blah, 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 including design, construction, inspection, and maintenance of public infrastructure consisting of roadways, bridges, traffic control devices, flood control. God damn it. No, I just made it. I fucked that up. Can I get the rest of that? Of course not. I think it was showing each area's responsibilities. I'm not a TV producer, Dave. Not a video producer.
No. Where's Ari when you need him?
I don't know about that. I don't know about that one. So anyway, well, we'll get more information on that.
I don't have the solution because I don't even know how it works.
Right. Holy shit.
But I just know it sucks. Okay? It sucks. It's ridiculous. Okay? There's no such thing as a road that should be torn up for 5 years. That should never happen. Ever. And it happens all the time in this city. And whose responsibility is? I don't know. It's not my job to know. I'm not running anything, and I'm not running for anything. But who's ever in charge, you're not getting the job done. And it sounds like they want to pass the buck. Well, it's the county, it's the city. Not our responsibility, it's yours. Get your act together. Okay? Stop acting like it's 1950 and it's a small town with 40,000 people in it. It's not. It's a big city.
I like this one. Mark, are you suggesting we should just freaking fleece the San Manuel Casino to get their license done faster than 9 months? Oh, you want it done? You want the palms open before 9 months? All right, pony up. We need road help.
There's only one thing that's remained undeveloped longer than all these fucking roads, and it's that parcel of land that Gianni Rosso promised a casino for us on Harmon and Koval. Dave, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay, so see that right there?
Very small, but
there's Caesar's Palace, and to the left of it is Flamingo, and to the left of that is the Dunes golf course, and the Dunes obviously is not seen. But Flamingo, you had to get on the 15. You didn't have a fucking choice. There was you couldn't go west. Now that's I remember those days.
You're like, I wish it was like that.
We got a few more cars now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what they're gonna. There's certain streets I have no idea how to fix the spring. I don't know what to do with Spring Mountain.
Oh shit!
You can't do eminent domain and force all those businesses out of business. The road's clearly the road is not wide enough. You get 2 lanes is a joke. But there's other areas in town where it's like, come on, you can do better than this.
Brady said if you zoom in on that old photo, you can see the Centennial Bowl under construction then too. I don't think so, but I get your point. They've been trying to build it for a long time.
Yeah.
That is a disaster. That's funny. All right, guys, we'll wrap on that. Willie, I appreciate you stopping off, man.
Yeah, no, I would definitely want to jump on, especially after a game like that. So
That was huge.
This
It
is
was a good
impressive.
time.
Willie is a ventriloquist. He's talking and his lips aren't moving.
Your picture locked up.
is it?
Yeah,
Easy.
no big deal.
There's a fight tomorrow in Vegas. I'll be at
All right.
local Devin Haney,
Oh, that's
WBC lightweight champion. So I'll be there.
What do you got going on, Dave?
Go out for dinner tomorrow and watch some baseball and watch the Maple Leafs Canadiens game. Which I will make a small bet, on the Maple Leafs, but not a big play at all. They're minus like 165. So it's just going to be a small investment, hopefully investment for me. And I hope it doesn't go to overtime because I'm not doing real well with overtime games.
Oh, boy. Where are you going to?
In 14 and a half months, there'll be a crowd in Canada.
Oh, yeah. Where's dinner, Dave? You don't know yet?
No, I have not decided yet.
That's good. Keep it secret. We might all come down there. Block
Where'd
you.
you go tonight, Dave? Did you go anywhere tonight?
No, tonight I wanted
Oh,
to
you were
watch the
watching games.
I wanted to watch the game. So tonight I had delivery.
Because
What?
I had
Yeah.
messaged Steve the other day. I was like, "Hey, I'll be at the game, and it's an early one, so maybe we'll jump on. We could talk VGK and wherever Dave went to dinner."
Right?
Now VGK game nights, I kind of like to be camped in front of the flat screen and enjoy the game, and I did tonight and had some nice veal piccata.
Nice. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to make it. I'm going to drive across town because my puppy is waiting for me. This is his first big night by himself.
Oh,
So
excitement!
yeah.
Oh, no.
What's the over and under? What's the over and under on an accident in the house?
Well, I got a decent sized pen for the size that he is, but I don't want too much space because you want to have blanket and laying area and the potty pad and not that much in between. So he's got one area or the other area. So he's been good. The longest he's had to wait for me was OTA day. This will be the longest, but he's been doing better with being left alone. So when I walk in, he doesn't go crazy. He just sits and waits for me to pick him up. So he's getting better. But anyway.
All right.
It was good seeing you guys. I'm out of here.
Have a good weekend.